Okay, loud.
All right, guys. Good afternoon. Thank you again for joining me here. So, quick question to all of you for the third time. Who likes sports around here?
Yay.
Absolutely. I'm a big sports fan myself. Go Bears, right? So anyway, whether it's through traditional media like newspapers and TV, right, to electronic media like smartphones, laptops, your tablets or whatnot, we as consumers have the ability to check up on all our favorite teams, and not just our favorite teams, right? All sports, all athletes, all teams across all kinds of leagues, across all kinds of sports, right? Now that being said, that access comes with quote unquote disclaimers, right? Usually in the form of getting bombarded by a slew of ads and tickers and whatnot, right, regarding sports betting, right? Can get pretty annoying, and unfortunately, these companies make a whole lot of money, by promoting this product. Today, sports and sports betting go hand in hand, right? So after assessing the data from an audience analysis survey that I conducted, roughly 80% of the survey takers said that sports betting is highly addictive and can have severe mental, social, and financial consequences for the consumers. Now, in this survey, most of these people agree that sports betting has the potential to compromise the integrity and reputation of former and current athletes, leagues, and sports. So today, I'm going to inform you of the cultural, political, and economic influence of sports betting, its harmful impacts on athletes, politics, and society today, but also some changes we as the consumers can push for, to keep this influence in check. Now, the influence of this multi-billion-dollar industry is undeniable, right? So we must ask ourselves, why is it allowed to operate despite the aforementioned concerns, right, that I just talked about? Well, here, let me tell you guys. So, in 2025 alone, can anybody guess how many dollars amount of wagers were made? How much money do you think were placed in bets?
$1 billion?
Andy?
200 billion.
Kind of close right there. So, to kind of notate for you guys, $157 billion in bets were placed just in 2025 alone. Now those bets generated $3.2 billion in tax revenue. That's a lot of money, right? So, according to a market analysis by grandviewresearch.com that was conducted in 2026, this year, there is a forecast of year-over-year growth of 9.7%, with a final valuation of $236 billion by 2033. So that's a little bit over a 50% growth, right, in this market. So this market is booming, guys. It's growing fast and at an unprecedented pace. There's a lot of money to be made. So, money, right? What does money do? It buys you anything you want, including influence, right? So, these companies have gotten, very smart with their money. How do they do this? They integrate themselves, with their broadcasters. They pay for time slots. They paid for ads. Broadcasters like ESPN, Fox, NBC, CBS, you name it, right? You know what else it buys you? Endorsements, prominent celebrities, you name it. Kevin Hart, LeBron James, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, you want these guys endorsing your product, but they cost you a lot of money, right? And let me tell you, the sports betting machine has that kind of money, right? To add to that, they also sponsor events and have their own merch, right, to distribute and get their brand out there. Now, what is the cause for these guys? So, sports companies are highly vested, right, in protecting their interests and their revenue. So how do you do that? Political contributions, guys, lobbying. So in 2025 alone, these sports betting companies created a PAC called the Sports Betting Alliance, and they spent $1.5 million in lobbying efforts alone. This is according to OpenSecrets.org, which is a non-for-profit, 501c charity that exposes, political donations for the benefit of the public, right? Another thing, guys, as we all know, like certain drugs, gambling is addictive, right? It's an addictive product. Based on the research for Epic.com, out of the 39 legalized states that legalize gambling, all of them saw a 61% increase in gambling disorder diagnoses between 2018, when legislation first passed, approving legalized sports betting in these 39 states, to 2026. Now on the flip side, guys, the other 11 states that did not legalize gambling saw a 30% drop. Very significant change right there, right? So also to note, guys, some of these consumers that are addicted, they might not want to change the status quo, right? So very sad, right? Usually this is very prominent within young, unmarried, and less educated men, right? Why? The experts in this EPIC study note three factors here, guys. The accessibility, right, of the sports betting. Just pull out your sports phone, maybe download an app if you haven't downloaded it yet. Boom, 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 done. You can place a bet within minutes. Super easy, super convenient. The gamification of sports betting. It gives you prop bets, it gives you promotions, it gives you multipliers for your bets. Flashy interface on the app. It just gets the customer coming back to chase that dopamine drive, right? And ultimately, guys, the normalization now of sports betting, right? So, in a 2025 Harvard EDU article, the writer Scott Young says, what we're looking at here is the normalization of an addictive known product when it comes to sports betting, right? So, that being said, betting platforms are very successful and have record profits, which is only gained by normalizing this known addictive product, which is sport betting. So we ask ourselves, how do we combat this, guys? So similar to controlled substance, I say, right? You got a campaign to warn the consumer. Make sure that these sports betting services have clear disclosures about the effects and negative impact of sports betting. And then ultimately, we also have to champion certain operating restrictions within these organizations, right? Number 2, increased tax liability on both the enterprise and the consumer. Use that increased tax liability to fund addiction recovery programs. And ultimately, guys, we have to push for limited political influence. So we got to hold our elected officials accountable. Make sure that we demand the rejection of lobbying efforts. We got to support reforms and policies that help the consumers fight gambling addiction ultimately. And to close out, guys, we all know that sports gambling has grown exponentially, economically, socially, and politically, right? While it clearly has benefits for the states, the companies, and the endorsers, economically, right? The reality is really grim, right? It is highly addictive, has severe consequences for the consumer, and has the ability to compromise the integrity of athletes in sports. We as consumers have the power to hold our elected officials accountable, to curb the influence by demanding reforms to the operating model that it is right now, and supporting policies that combat the negative effects of sports betting. Again, guys, think twice before clicking on that bet. And if you do, may the odds ever be in your favor, and watch out for the consequences. Thank you very much.